The Secret of the Enchanted Forest. Once upon a time, in a distant, mysterious land, a place only the bravest of adventurers would explore. There, where the trees rose higher than clouds into the sky, and the flowers bloomed in the most dazzling colors, lay the Enchanted Forest. This forest was no ordinary place. It was filled with wonder, magic, and unexplored mysteries. In a small village on the edge of the Enchanted Forest lived a curious child named Avalis. Avalis wasn't like the other children. Her heart was for adventure, and she couldn't wait to explore the enchanted forest that the villagers told stories about. Every night before she fell asleep, Avalis dreamed of the enchanted animals and mysterious paths hidden deep in the forest. On a sunny morning, when the sky was a deep blue, Avalis decided to make her dream come true. She put on her most comfortable shoes, packed a small backpack with provisions, and set off for the enchanted forest. The forest stretched before her like an endless labyrinth of trees and colorful flowers. Birds chirped in the branches, and the rustling of the leaves sounded like a secret song. Avalis could feel her heartbeat as she moved deeper into the forest. It was exciting and a little scary at the same time, but she felt alive like never before. After a while, Avalis reached a small clearing where a friendly creature was sitting. It was Phipps, a small forest dweller who looked like a cross between an owl and a squirrel. Phipps had soft, plush feathers and a clever smile on his face. "Welcome to the Enchanted Forest, Avalis," Phipps chirped. "I am Phipps, the guardian of the forest. What brings you here?" Avalis smiled and told Phipps about her dream, the treasures of the forest, and her desire to have the adventure of a lifetime. Phipps nodded in understanding and said, "You have the courage of a true adventurer, Avalis, but before we go, I have a secret to tell you." Avalis listened intently. "What secret?" Phipps, the guardian of the forest, fluttered excitedly around Avalis. "The secret of the forest, Avalis, is that it can hear your heart. It knows your dreams and desires, and if you follow your heart, it will show you the way to the most amazing adventures." Avalis looked at the forest around her with new eyes. She felt that it was alive and pulsating. "What should I do, Phipps? How do I find the treasure you spoke of?" Phipps replied, "The first thing you must do is listen to your heart. Imagine what you wish for from this adventure. Think of all the things that excite you and make you stronger. Then the forest will show you the way." Avalis closed her eyes and thought of all the things she desired. She wished for courage to explore the forest. She wished for friendship not to be alone. Above all, she wished to trust herself. When she opened her eyes, she felt a gentle breeze brushing through her hair. The flowers on the ground seemed to be swaying toward a particular path. "Phipps, look, the forest is showing me the way." Phipps smiled. "You're on the right path, Avalis. Now let's follow the wind and discover what adventure awaits us." Together, Avalis and Phipps embarked on following the wind through the enchanted forest. They knew they would face many challenges and secrets on their journey, but they felt strong and ready because they had each other and their hearts to guide them. Avalis and Phipps followed the wind, leading them deeper into the enchanted forest. The forest transformed around them. The trees became denser and older, and the flowers shone in even more astonishing colors. It was as if the forest itself was alive and breathing, and Avalis and Phipps were guests in its magical realm. After a while, they reached a clearing where a massive oak tree stood. Perched on the tree trunk was an owl with beautiful, radiant feathers. She gazed at Avalis and Phipps with her clear eyes and welcomed them with a gentle voice. "Welcome, you adventurers of the heart. I am Elara, the wise owl of the forest. You have come to uncover the secret of the forest, haven't you?" Avalis and Phipps nodded eagerly. "Yes, that's right, Elara. We want to find the forest's treasure and experience the adventure." Elara smiled. Then you must align your heart and mind. The forest will present you with tests to strengthen your belief in yourselves. Only when you have strong faith in your abilities will you reach the treasure. The wise owl rose from her branch and floated above the clearing. She led Avalis and Phipps to a narrow, enchanted bridge that crossed a glistening stream. Your first test, Avalis, is this bridge. It will shift and move as you walk on it, but you must remain calm and believe in your ability to cross it. Avalis gazed at the shimmering bridge and nervously swallowed. Then she thought about her wish to trust herself. She stepped carefully onto the bridge, and indeed, it shifted and changed its shape. But Avalis remained calm and steady, and with each step she took, the bridge became more stable. Phipps followed her courageously, and together they crossed the enchanted bridge. Elara landed before them and smiled. You have passed the first test because you believed in yourselves. Your self-confidence will strengthen you on your adventure. Avalis felt her heart pulse with pride and joy. She knew that she and Phipps were ready to overcome any challenge the Enchanted Forest presented to them. After successfully conquering the tests set by the Guardians of the Forest, Avalis and Phipps continued their journey. The forest led them to an unusual place where enormous mushrooms stood tall like umbrellas. "Look, Avalis, these are the mushroom gardens of the forest," Phipps exclaimed excitedly, "and these are the Guardians of the Forest." Avalis saw how the mushrooms slowly opened, revealing tiny, friendly-looking creatures. They wore amusing leaf hats and had cheerful faces. The Mushroom Guardians danced and laughed as they welcomed Avalis and Phipps. "Welcome to our mushroom gardens, dear visitors," one of the Mushroom Guardians called out. "You're on a special journey, aren't you?" Avalis nodded. "Yes, we're seeking the forest's treasure and the adventure." The Mushroom Guardians smiled. "That's wonderful. But first, you must face our riddles and games. We are the Guardians of the Forest, and we test your mind and skill." Phipps and Avalis agreed, and they began to take on the joyful challenges set by the Mushroom Guardians. They solved riddles, hopped over mushrooms, and balanced on narrow logs. With each successful test, their self-confidence grew, and they started to understand that they were more capable than they thought. Finally, the head guardian of the mushrooms approached them and congratulated them. "You have excelled in our tests. You've excelled in our tests with flying colors. You are skillful and clever. These newfound skills will serve you well on your adventure." Avalis expressed her gratitude to the Mushroom Guardians, and with a joyful smile on their faces, they continued their journey, knowing that they were now stronger and wiser than before. After successfully passing the challenges set by the Mushroom Guardians, Avalis and Phipps pressed on with their journey. The Enchanted Forest guided them to a majestic waterfall, cascading into a shimmering pool. Before the waterfall was a narrow, fragile-looking bridge that led to a small island in the middle of the pool. Standing on the island was a mystical being, part human, part bird, with beautiful feathers. It was the Guardian of the Waters, Lirael. "Welcome, Avalis and Phipps," Lirael greeted with a melodic voice. "Your adventure has brought you this far, but you must face one final test." The task was not an easy one. Avalis and Phipps had to cross the delicate bridge without falling into the water while contending with the rhythmic spray from the waterfall. It required concentration, skill, and a deep trust in their abilities. Avalis hesitated for a moment as she looked at the swaying bridge, but then she thought of all the trials she had already conquered. With Phipps by her side, she carefully stepped onto the bridge. The mist from the waterfall danced around them, but she remained focused and reached the island safely. Lirael smiled. "You've succeeded because you believed in yourselves. Now you are ready to find the forest's treasure." Avalis and Phipps now stood on the island in front of the majestic waterfall. Lirael, The guardian of the waters pointed to the waterfall and said, "Behind the waterfall is where the forest's treasure is hidden. But to find it, you must open your heart and recognize your deepest desires." Avalis thought about all the adventures she had experienced and how she had learned to believe in herself. She realized that the true treasure wasn't in gold or gemstones. It was in the experiences, friendships, and strength she had gained on her journey. With a determined heart, Avalis stepped through the waterfall. Behind the falling water, she discovered a radiant, sparkling chamber filled with memories of all her adventures. It was a room filled with happiness and warmth. Phipps, who had followed her, said, "This is the forest's treasure, Avalis. It belongs to us because we found it with our hearts." The two friends smiled and knew that their journey in the enchanted forest was a precious gift. They returned to their village and shared their adventures and the treasures they had discovered with the other children. The enchanted forest still awaited new adventurers, and Avalis and Phipps' stories inspired the children to discover their own courage and strength. And so, the story of Avalis and Phipps, who experienced the adventure of their lives and learned that the true treasure lay in their hearts, came to an end.